Into order. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, we'll start with a roll call. Mr. Babcock, Mr. Meyerholtz. Here. Mr. Easterwood. Here. Ms. Kwiatkowski.
Here.
And we have a motion to excuse Mr. Warner. Who moved? All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Moved. Has everyone had a chance to review the agenda? I think the request in miscellaneous business, a small discussion on the Christmas tree lighting and small discussion on reappropriating for the pickup.
Oh, I thought you said read.
No, sorry, the leaf pickup box, or not the box, the machine. Any other additions or corrections?
I'd like to request an executive session for the purpose of personnel and complaint concern council member.
Okay. We have a motion to approve those three additions. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, minutes from the previous meeting. Has everyone had a chance to review the minutes? So do we have a motion to mark as read? Move. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? So moved. And first on our agenda here, we have a gentleman from UIS to discuss our PEP renewal and answer any questions. I'll let you take it.
And Rob Fawcett with the US Insurance Investments. Did you get? I've given you copies of the full renewal in front of you. So basically what I'll do is I'll put the highlights of everything and then we can, I'll just, if you got questions, fire them away. If not, I'll just keep it pretty brief. And then if you have something more leads to, we'll be glad to. Basically comparing last year to this year, the biggest things you're going to see different. Bounce house, we have added that liability that came on that process through a couple of weeks ago. So that has been added. So that's not on there. If you end up, that's a $250 charge on that. So we just, it's now going to be added until you tell us to take it off. So if you stop having it, or if there's a year that you know you're not going to do it, let us know in advance so we can take it off so you get the credit for it. But right now it's built into the policy and it will stay until you want it to be taken off. We've made property values up about 10% to reflect in basically inflation. So all the properties basically just applied a 10% inflation factor on all your buildings, contents, and things like that. So that also had effect on the overall premium. Your expenditures, I don't know if you realize, but you're up 12% from last year to this year. And expenditures are part of your liability charge. That's how they factor in, how they determine your charge for that. So as your expenditures go up, that does affect your overall premium slightly from the prior year. And that's just based on what is reported to you. And then we have an increase of 6 volunteers on the EMS squad. We were at 6, we were at 8, and now we're at 14. That also has an increase baked into your overall cost because the more people you have, the more runs. Yes, you can look at that, but the numbers do have a slight impact on the overall pricing as it comes to that. With those things in mind, we're looking at about we're at about 12%. I think it's a little over 10% increase from pricing from last year to this year. Your premium went from 15 14,000 to 15,589. That's a new number. That is 11% from last year to this year. Some of it is rate. There is an additional rate they're starting to charge. Then also there's some of the things we just talked about, kind of pushing that rate up to about 11%. So the inflation factors being done across the board by PEP for all values. One of the big things that's affecting rate is the reinsurance carriers are pushing to make sure that everything is insured to value. Remember, with a pool, the pool itself is going to take the first 250,000 in losses, and then anything over that goes to reinsurance. So in order to get the best rate from the reinsurance carriers, they're putting pressure back on PEP to make sure that all the villages and down all the villages and any member of PEP is insuring their properties to value. Recent changes in fluctuation in pricing, they've just kind of went across the board to 10. Which is higher than average. We used to do probably 3 or 4% on average. Now trending forward, we'll see where it goes year to year. I doubt they'll do that again next year. Just kind of sees on where the trend with regards to inflation goes. If that continues, I don't see a double-digit inflation factor next year, but they are going to be pushing that. Any building over 100,000 throughout PEP is going to get. Eventually, they'll have it done. Inflation, but a replacement cost estimate on it. So as those come up, they'll address it, and then any type of if you guys are doing replacement factors on it, or if you're having auditors or appraisals done, they would like them. They'll factor those in too. So it depends on where you're at in the cycle or anything like that. If you recall, last year we did put some quotes in. Right now, you're at $500 deductible on property. You're at $250, $500 on your trucks, $500 on your ambulance, and $500 on your marine, which is all your miscellaneous tools and equipment. We did last year price. Do we want to go up a little higher, go to that $1,000 threshold? With property around our area and the cost of the cost of insurance, more and more homeowners are going to $1,000 deductible. At a village, you're still at $500. And our autos are at, 500, 250, 500. That's an average homeowner or an average auto policy. Do we want to consider bumping those limits up? Last year, roughly the numbers we saved you were looking at about $400 if we went to 500, 1,000. And then if we went to the 1,000 on the property, you were looking another $200. So, if we want to shave some premium down, your claims, knock on wood, we've been pretty, except for that last wind claim. I didn't say it, didn't finish the sentence. So if we do a history, because one way to look back is a good indicator of future. And so if we want to pump that up, it might be a way to save some premium, but also because as going forward, if you have, say, a $600 claim, are you going to make $100? Deductible, because if you have a $500 deductible into $600, are you going to make a claim for $100? Maybe not. It's to be your interest not to for the long term of the program. And with a pool, they don't automatically charge you like you might see in your homeowner. So you're not going to all of a sudden have a big issue with regards to making $100 claim. But over time, it can have a factor if we keep doing it on a regular basis. So if you might as well benefit in some of the premium savings and consider that. It's something we can do at any time. We don't have to make that decision tonight, nor do you have to make it at the renewal, which is December 19th. It's just something to think about. You don't have a huge auto fleet and you don't have a real big statement of values with meaning property and everything else. So your savings aren't huge. But at $600, all of a sudden, a couple of years, in 2 years, you're going to pay off whatever you might have paid in one claim or another. So if you keep your claims down, and if you continue trending like you are, other than that wind claim, which we're still working through. So it's just something to think about. I gave Harold a copy. He's gonna, I recommend looking through the equipment list and making sure that everything's listed that we have. Make sure we take off what we don't need anymore. So now's a good time to do that. Anything we add, if we do it now, you're not gonna see any kind of charge for it until the following year unless it's valued over $50,000. So those smaller things, plus and minus, add a lawnmower, take one off, they're not gonna charge you for it. But we do want to record that you got the new one and things like that. If it's something that is, if you bought a brand new truck and didn't get rid of something, yeah, they're gonna charge you prorated based on the amount of time you had on the policy. But anything less than, if you bought a brand new pickup truck and it's under 50 grand, they're not gonna charge you for that premium during this calendar year. They wouldn't see it till next year. So that's just how they normally do things like that. That was real quick. Do you have questions?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
So
Where are you looking?
I am about that roof thing.
Yes.
I'm still trying to get clarification on the roof. Obviously it was done by storm damage. What is we're weighing our options here, and I don't know if you know anything about it, but of the actual replacement of the roof versus cash value to put up a different building. What's your thought on that?
I think looking at the age of the building, we're not sure what the cost is going to be to replace that roof. We're hoping to get some estimate. They'll pay basically, if it's going to say be $20,000 to fix the roof, and the building's not worth a whole lot at this point. You might as well take that 20,000 and just go towards the new building. And
So that would be in reality, that'd be basically a cash out.
basically, for all intents.
And then you put up another building or something.
Yeah, or you could, if you decide you don't want to put it up at all, they don't normally pay the replacement cost if you decided you don't want to replace it. They're just, then they would pay some type of ACV type of settlement.
Because this is something that's basically something happened that was really never thought about, right? And then we're like trying to figure out,
Why put good money after an old building, put a brand new roof on an old building? It doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
then we can turn around and maybe,
You
obviously.
can take that money towards another building and do something with it, either on that, yes, they'll allow you to do that.
Okay.
It's just a matter of, we need to know what the value is to fix that roof.
Sure.
And that's how they'll pay it, and then you go accordingly. And then here, as soon as we get some new numbers from that new roofing company, will give us a better.
And you required to do 2 or 3 of them?
No,
or
just one.
Just the one?
Is it recommended? Why the one that you guys initially were requiring that, there's no need for you to go to a separate third-party adjuster.
That's what.
Because then you're 10%, they're taking 10%, it's coming out of your end. Where, let's just, Perzo, they'll do it, they'll take care of it, they'll settle it, and it won't be a problem. So it's just a matter of, we just need to work off of someone's number, and then the Perzo people will work accordingly.
Is there time for us to come up with a plan to replace that building? Like say it takes.
They're not gonna say, we gotta do it now. They're just kind of waiting on it. So they know about it. They'll wait on it till you get the estimate. You guys, they'll cut your check, and then,
Even if it takes 6, 9, 12 months.
oh yeah, there's no hurry. Especially if you have because they'll cut you the check, and then you can put it in the bank and sit on it and say, let's go through. They'll want you to do something eventually, and we can explain to them, I'm trying to figure out what you want to do and what's functionality going into the winter. It's not serviceable to, fix it. You're going to demo it, whatever you want to do with it. We just got to kind of tell them that you have a plan.
And then the other thing just is the asset values for all of our equipment. The coverage limits on these, that's what replacement coverage?
Yes.
Now, we insure these through you guys, and no matter what happens, like our life packs or something blows up or whatever, make a claim to you guys.
Right.
Well, it just so happens if we have a leaf vac that first thing on the list right here is leaf vac 95 that seemed to have, I don't know, we're going to find out here in a little bit, but we have to make a decision. What we're going to do is either replace it, failed.
You know what happened to it?
I have not, it's not in the report.
That's what I would recommend we do is let's submit it. Unless it's
So if it helps, it did fail because of something that was picked up in someone's yard.
Okay, so with some kind of, intake of foreign objects is what we're talking about, more than likely.
I assume.
That's
Then
what
it's
we're,
not, let's just submit it and we'll sort it out. And then if you know, because then, because they'll pay to replace it after the, I mean, there's a value of 16.5, so, you know, let's see what it takes. I mean, I could make it, just tell me when, where it what happened to it.
You know, I'm not the type of person that wants to make a claim on, like you were just talking about, with the deductible being $1,000, $1,100, whatever, and potentially raising your rates up for $100 out of pocket or something like that one. You know what I'm saying? I totally agree with that, but how many claims can we have before you guys start saying, "Oh my gosh, you
What they'll
guys"?
end up doing is, because it's a pool and it's a shared risk for everybody, so that risk plus or minus is going to be shared amongst everybody else. If suddenly, let's say you just start having a rash of claims, loss control will come a calling, and they'll start looking at, okay, what's causing these claims? Why are they occurring? Are you just having a really bad run of, you know, a bad luck? If, you know, you can't eat a $16,000 claim. If it's a legit claim and it's covered, that's why you buy the insurance.
I agree.
So, but if, you know, that's why those $100, $200 claims, they're nuisance claims. I want to save them for the bad stuff, and then so that you don't develop
I mean, in your opinion, like the leaf vac is basically a total loss, because I think the thing's still out. You know, this would be a valuable claim to do.
Oh, yeah.
Versus
I mean,
the radar sign or something that's a $1,500 replacement.
I mean, it all depends on where you're at financially, you know, and even in small villages, you can have a certain amount of claims you could take. If suddenly we have 4 or 5 claims sitting out there in a span of 2 years, and then we have $1,000 claim, well, maybe we don't make that one. But anything of this size is.
Because I don't know in the history what claims we've had, right? So,
Yeah, I mean,
this was all kind of new. I mean, I've been on council 7 years, and it's kind of one of those
you
things. It's like,
haven't had a whole lot of claims.
right.
So it's, you know, you go through cycles where you have some bad luck, the windstorm, the intake, it happens. So, and that's why you pay the premiums, and that's why, you know, then you may find that next year's renewal, they want to go to $1,000 deductible, stuff like that, to help manage the risk and stuff like that. But because it's a pool, it's not like your own personal homeowners. You make one claim, they non-renew you, or they jack your rate up. It doesn't really work like that. No, they will factor in if you have a whole lot of really bad claims, because insurance claims is looked at severity versus frequency. Severity is something that's kind of out of your control. You can have a fluke accident where something burns to the ground, things like that. Frequency becomes an issue. If you have frequency, that's a bigger issue than severity. Now, if you have frequency and severity, then you got a real problem. But
so what I'm hearing is you think that could be an appropriate claim.
yeah, I would say,
Now,
let's submit it and see what they say. Submit it.
could we submit just the repair cost to replace like the engine on it plus
Because that's what
the clutch?
they would look at it and say, what's it gonna cost to fix? And then if it's gonna be $5,000 to fix it.
Mhm.
Or they say it's a total loss, you can't be fixed. And we'll report it, say that there's the claim. It could be, here's the cost to fix, and if it's, say, maybe it's 12,000 to fix, and if it's only worth 16, they're gonna say it ain't worth, they may say total it, and then you get the total amount.
So that's my biggest problem is, like, you know, we are a small village, and, you know, we're probably no different than any other village. We only have a certain amount of budget. When something like this happens, it's tough pill to swallow.
16,000,
Well, even the building, you know, I mean, it could happen with anything we owned. I mean, it's a tough pill to swallow.
big or small, you know, the larger you are, the just more expenses you have, but you're not like a manufacturer that's, well, just gonna go make more, sell more. You don't have that option, so your budgets are much more constrained. So any claim, regardless of the size, can be a negative for you financially, because, you know, unless you just happen to have already budgeted for that building to go up and it just happened at
Sure.
the same time, but no one budgets $16,000 loss.
I mean, if we have, let's say if we're out $12,000 for this, I don't know for certain, because I don't, the numbers ain't in. And I mean, that's $12,000 we have to come up with, but and an increase of payment over a couple of years probably is not going to,
Even if
Basically-
$2,000 a year, you're still gonna be ahead of the game.
Yeah. that's okay.
But I don't make the determination, but it's always worth submitting and see what they say.
Okay.
Because, and they realistically, they try to do whatever they can to pay it. It's a members on, it's there for you. So the intent is they try to pay if at all possible as long as they coverage. So,
Will they pay for a rental unit while that one's being either repaired or replaced?
Well, we have rental on our thing, but I don't know what that's what
I have to check that. That's, there's,
I thought.
I can't recall right off the top of my head if that's included in that. But we can definitely find out.
And when was the last time they valued this leaf vacuum?
I don't know. That's a good question. It's a replacement cost. So technically the form reads replacement cost. It doesn't matter what it is.
Okay, that's,
We base the pricing is based on 16,000.
okay.
But then the price means how much they charge you premium wise, but technically it's at replacement cost. So if it's 20, they really owe you 20. So it's one of those, okay, let's see what we got. I've run across other similar things where, that's the value, but in this case, it's at replacement cost. And on this form, they pay replacement cost, whatever it costs to replace it or repair it. And it may be, if the replacement cost is say 30, when the repair is 10, you're gonna get the 10.
Sure.
They're always gonna take the lower of the two. So, yeah, if you can just tell me when it happened, and where it happened, just for purposes of making the claim. And then if you have estimates,
Well, that's going to come out here in a little bit. So I'm imagining, I'm not.
you don't have to have the estimates in the claim, but if you got it, then just submit it all at once and we'll let the Perzo people look it over and decide. Because they'll then make a determination, they call, well, I assume you want Harold to be the primary, because I assume you know what's going on with it.
Yeah.
So.
And then, at last council meeting, I know we're making a claim for the roof, but last council meeting, there was an invoice that we had to pay out pocket for Dashore Electric to reattach the electric to the building from the storm damage. We suggested,
Include that, yeah.
yeah, okay. And then seeing how we, out of pocket that, it's already been paid, will that go towards our deductible?
No, well, ultimately it'll go towards the deductible, but submit that. Well, once they settle on what the amount of paid is, they'll factor in the connection charges, whatever. So make sure, just get the invoice to me and we'll just put it towards the overall, and then they just add it up and take the 500 off. So, but since you've already paid it, yeah, then they'll just.
That's what I'm saying, then go ahead and, because it was like, well, we should probably put it on claim it on the insurance, because that's clearly what it was for.
You can do it after the fact. I mean, the fact that you already paid it, it had to get done right away.
Sure.
You know how long it'll take them to pay claim on the,
It'll take but a week or so, if that, mainly, as soon as we get the estimate to them and let them look it over, and it's more so how much they're gonna pay, whether they're good.
Yeah.
They're gonna pay, just
Yeah.
what the exact amount, because they'll look at that estimate and they'll kind of, okay, that seems right, and then make the assessment. Then it doesn't usually take very long.
how did we get a third-party adjuster involved on the roof?
That's what the
Contractor.
contractor,
That's the contractor.
they wanted. They wanted, if you were gonna work with them, they were gonna require a third-party adjuster.
Okay.
I've never had a contractor use that.
Neither have I, that's what I'm wondering.
Normally you hire a third party if you're unhappy with.
Right,
I guess maybe they're thinking it was,
Could have been Johnny's relation,
Mhm.
out of the pie.
yeah, because he wouldn't give you an estimate, would he? They wouldn't,
They gave me a verbal and that was all they gave.
and we need something in writing. That's what we'll get. So it's not.
All right, any more questions for Rob?
I do have one.
When that,
Minor question.
I got the
I'm
one.
looking at the speed radar sign, they've got valued at close to $5,000.
when that one was purchased,
When it happened, when they go out.
like a 6,000.
Was it that much? Oh, I didn't think it was that much because it was just battery power. I actually remembered it being less than 2.
You were pulling back,
I don't remember.
back into the yard and caught something in it.
I'd have,
But that's fine. I mean, I thought it was only a couple of minutes.
On the 6th.
We'll have to make sure if when this comes through, we buy that secondary Lucas and add it onto the.
That's what I was looking at because it only has the one listed.
Any questions? Yeah, let me know. I'll get the claim in right away. I mean, you think that estimate will be ready by tomorrow. I won't do it till tomorrow, so.
I can have one.
Okay, I mean, there's no hurt. I don't have to have it to submit the claim. I mean, if you don't happen to do it, I'll submit it anyway. We'll get it after the fact. It's not a problem.
Seems like a good way to go. We're gonna discuss it.
I'm gonna verify if there's a rental, because like I said, we're going the first date. We have people screaming and then
Yeah.
Yeah, we've been advertising.
it'll snow next week, so we have to rent one if it goes towards the.
Okay.
It says we have $10,000 rental, but I don't know for what.
Yeah, I'll make sure.
Great. Thank you.
Anything else I can do for you? I mean, we're here, give me a call, stuff like this. You know, don't hesitate to call. I can always come back to a meeting, wherever you got going on. But please let me know on that roof. Let's get her done and get it to them.
I got somebody coming to 20.
Okay, so I'll let them know it's coming and we'll go from there. So we do appreciate you working with you, and working through us. We do enjoy it, so it's, glad we can help out and hopefully some more things will get.
Yeah, let's hold on to that comment till after.
If there's any.
I like insurance brokers, but I really hate talking to them. It never works out good. so.
Seems to be a good time to talk. But, don't hesitate to call. My number's in those packets. If you got questions, reach out at any time. I'm always here.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks for your time. Take care.
Thanks.
Thank you. Okay.
Sorry if I stepped out of line on that one, but
We do have a little bit of old business to take care of. I know we started talking about the bus garage. Any further discussion about that?
you just answered my question.
Said the
I did.
20th.
Yep, I'll be here.
Okay.
To give us a quote on what's gonna cost them.
Okay, and then we had clarification about the re-hookup from Deschler. And sounds like we also determined that they would give us time to come up with a plan to rebuild the building, even if it was out a whole fiscal year, it sounded like.
Well, I think the verbal quote we had was 20,
36.
was it? What was it? 36.
They have the value of that property at 37.
Yeah, and then with the $1,000 thing that could put us over the edge. And at the end of the day, I wasn't overly concerned about fixing it or not. I want to know if it's a payout, if not, could that moves us forward on a different plan of action. So, which we've been actively working on it through Public Works, trying to figure out the right thing, but
32.
So 22.5 is the value on that.
22,591.
Yeah.
That's
Oh, sorry.
Say,
36.
Sorry. Yeah, 26.9 for the building.
Yeah.
That's the new value too. All right, grant writer updates. Do any committees have any projects to put on the table for approval? Okay. Okay, so safety has 1,
2.
she's getting, just kind of waiting on the quote or getting quotes for, to submit with that search grant. And she is working on submitting the CSX one for the stipend. Moving forward.
Does anyone have any feedback, for moving forward with any of I know we have a couple of committee or council committee meetings coming up.
When admin, what did we decide about making the list? And so that everybody could review and prioritize. Stretching. We were gonna put a list together with because all the committees have submitted ideas.
Right.
Oh, I think it was to have the committees put consolidate their lists, and then administrative process was gonna put the whole list together
Yeah, I think we
for
will.
Christie to review so that she can say, hey, I researched this more, this can't go on here kind of thing.
Yeah, I thought we were waiting for Christie on it.
Yeah.
That's where I thought we.
I think it's just because some of the committees have shared a bunch of different ideas. Now it's like,
Kind of consolidating.
consolidate it more.
For instance, the community development met, we didn't have like some of the scopes.
Financials.
Mhm.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, okay, so it sounds like we're gonna, hit up each committee again and keep just trying to bring projects to council for approval. I mean,
Well, I know some of those grants had multiple committees like Public Works and Community Development. And, I thought we were gonna put all our ideas on the table and prioritize. Which is kind of where I recall our conversation coming from in admin, where we need the list. We're missing a consolidated list for everybody to look at.
I think maybe just the same document, but it has more information now, right?
Yeah, maybe that's what it is. We have the document with the non-match. So all of those that I can go through all the notes, the committee notes again and plug in if there's anything different compared to that document that she put together. Do that. Cause that might have been the one, I don't think how far back that was.
The only reason I say all this is because we keep revolving around this conversation, which is where is everything and nobody really knows where everything is. We all gave our ideas, Public Works submitted, Community Development submitted, Safety submitting too.
Yeah.
And then we keep coming to this question.
Well,
But I never really saw what Public Works submitted other than, I haven't seen it all together. For an overall, everybody decide what is.
Well,
priority.
for safety, I mean, they're both non-match. And the submittal should just go directly to her
Well, I
now.
want to say the non-match list had 14 grants and she said that she could do 7 to 8, which is why we were going to prioritize. And that's kind of, again, I just feel like the conversation keeps revolving, but her contract, she's working for us and willing to work for us, but we're not getting her much because we're spinning wheels.
Well, I guess at some point, the committees need to kind of propose their ideas to council for them to be able to prioritize that.
So another month.
I've heard a lot of proposals
I mean-
in all of the committee, notes, the presentations. I've heard a lot of them. So I have a lot of them in my notes too.
I guess that's what I'm saying is, I think
it's on still on the committees, like what Public Works and Safety's been doing. They've kind of brought it down or condensed it more. And now they've submitted the last meeting, Public Works brought forward the CSX one, very specific. I mean,
Yeah.
we don't have
See, there-
scope for it, but that's where Christie will.
Where we
guide us
had a
what she
problem with
needs.
Public Works was clarification on
Mhm.
what scope we were allowed to work with, which we don't have. The only thing we got presented was that little briefing, that got presented to us. So
Yeah, so I think
that's
that,
where that updated document can help.
yeah, so we fine tune some of those in that document. fine tune some of those ideas, take some out if we need to, send it back to her, and then she can give more feedback, but tell her like, not yet approved. And then when she comes back, we can approve. Does that make sense?
I think there can
Or
be
vice
some,
versa. Like, yeah, it just depends on the project itself.
if there's worry that maybe one committee is gonna step on the other committee's toes, then maybe we can just.
Well,
Up
it's
there.
that there were grants that more than one committee could, but it's also for me like, and I remember hearing it from the community as well, like this general, are you prioritizing properly? There's 14 grants. Who's getting priority? Is it just whichever one we bring forward? That's not any discussion or prioritization. This is what we want to see. Which if that's the way the process is going, okay. But that wasn't clear to me. So when we keep asking for, what do you have forward? We didn't discuss it in community development because that wasn't my understanding. I don't know if it was theirs.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's still opportunity to further talk about it. I was just asking if there's anything anyone else wants to put on the table based on what we have discussed.
It's just like an
Already.
ongoing agenda item, so it's not like making sure that it's staying on track.
Is administrative process the one that's gonna be the judge of what gets submitted?
It's supposed to come to everyone. That's
I
where I'm
don't
like,
think,
I'm not sure how we're
I
presenting.
just wondered how
I
the
don't-
process could go into administrative.
I don't really think we have the time to do that.
I'm not saying you should.
Yeah,
I'm
I-
just
I
asking.
think- I think
if
at this
that's what you're
point-
doing.
You know, our kind of main contact, Craig, is on that committee, and he's kind of like, handling a portion of that.
He was working on something with her for the public works for that search
Yeah.
grant and everything to verify, getting more clarification. I mean, I'm not speaking for him.
Right.
Not here.
And so
but-
I guess if you need more, then yeah,
No.
then we need to,
My confusion is the process
okay.
of how we're approving things and what's coming forward to go to her, what's being prioritized, which. if
Some of the
it
stuff
is-
was not, some of the stuff was time sensitive.
Right.
Most of it was
Right,
not.
like the
So
CSX was time sensitive.
So is
the
your-
Stormwater was, we knew number one priority. Past that wasn't prioritized prior. Really, my question is just, is admin doing it? Are we bringing it to council? Is it gonna be looked at council? Do we all need a consolidated list? I'm not sure about the process. That's all.
Okay, I guess if your concern is, and let me know if I'm off base here, that if we just kind of keep piecemeal bringing, then there is no ability to prioritize.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So maybe, maybe we need to like put it on each of these, 3 committees to kind of finalize their asks so that in one council meeting, we are able to look at all of them together and decide which ones should move forward.
That makes sense to me.
Now that said, I think if we're going to do that, then, we need to like participate in some back and forth to like get answers for questions as opposed to, maybe just putting something on hold because we don't have the answer right away. And so it might require some, I don't know, work outside of the committee through emails and stuff.
My concern is that you don't have another month.
And which is why I started asking the question, because this is, like I said, I want to say like the 3rd time. We've tried to work through it, but we're not all on the same page. So I wanted to get myself where everybody else is at the very least. So we can work through that.
We have still on old business here, the community development for the suburban natural gas. I feel like we addressed this right. We're gonna take it in and use it for like downtown development, right?
Downtown beautification,
Okay.
yeah.
All right, let's resolve that one.
Motion to approve, submitting it.
Sure, yeah, motion,
So moved.
and a second,
Second.
all in favor.
All right.
Okay, we have final reading of ordinance 2024-20, our annual appropriation ordinance, providing permanent appropriations for current expenses and other expenditures for the village of Weston, Ohio through December 31st, 2025. A motion to approve.
I got a question on that.
Yep.
Seeing as how we're going to be talking about maybe an emergency ordinance for the leaf blower. Is this something that is going to require us to reappropriate to a different line item before we do this?
This is for next
This
year's
is next year's
appropriation.
appropriation,
Yep.
so it won't affect it.
Okay.
Okay, any other discussion, questions? Concerns, comments? Okay, so do we have a motion to approve
So move.
in a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Yeah.
Any opposed? I wanted to note that we did a ribbon cutting and a proclamation for Horns and Halos. Event. I feel like that was super well received. And judging, what I've seen on the social media, it seems like they're getting some pretty good reviews of their food. And so the proclamation just kind of, highlighted that, we, of course, I identified that, downtown, business is important, to the vitality of the village, and by supporting that business, it means that, we're having breakfast and lunch and nightlife, let's say, back into the village. Something that it's lacking in all three of those areas, and just an acknowledgement of the work that they've put into the building, inside and out, which is, a significant investment. And so, like I said, that was well received, and it was nice of them to let us participate in that. That said, I do have something prepared here that I hope you'll allow me to read. Because I feel compelled to address you all regarding the resignation of our Parks and Rec president, and more broadly, the way we conduct business when it involves volunteers. Volunteers are absolutely essential to the growth of our village. Without their passion and dedication, many of the programs that enrich our community would simply not exist. Therefore, we should strive to serve these individuals with compassion, understanding, and unwavering support. As we face a lack of organizations within the town, the programs that we have established in their absence have become even more critical. It was disappointing and harmful to witness a lack of support within this council for these efforts. If we want to see our village thrive, we must foster these programs, not stifle them. To be clear, there's always room for change, room for improvement, and opportunities for leadership. But such action should be approached with tact, collaboration, and through the proper chain of command. Public criticisms and unilateral actions that address or that lack constructiveness have no place in this process. I've witnessed a distrust of council among the members of our boards and groups time and time again. And while I've defended council in the past by explaining the intricacies of government and the majority rules aspect of the decision-making, the dissatisfaction seems to persist. And this discontent, in my view, seems to stem from a failure by some to appreciate the time, effort, and significance of these roles. Speculating on motivations is not my aim, but the impact of such attitudes is clear. Council holds significant authority in shaping the direction of our village through its power to decide budgets, enact ordinances and resolutions, and to work with myself to enact administrative policies. However, this authority must be exercised properly, transparently, and through the established processes outlined in our governance structure. Actions outside these channels undermine collaboration, breed unnecessary conflict, and harm the trust that our volunteers and employees place in us. It bears saying again, volunteers who serve without compensation deserve our utmost respect and support. And as council members elected and paid to fulfill our roles, we must ensure that the systems we use are clear, collaborative, and serve the community's best interests. I acknowledge my own role in this and commit to being part of the solution. I'll work with the fiscal officer and the administrator to develop policies that make collaboration between volunteers, employees, and the village smoother, more transparent, and more efficient. There's always room for improvement, and I believe, the support of my team to clarify these roles and streamline operations regarding such. These policies will prioritize professionalism and reflect the reality that volunteers are a vital part of our village, and it's essential to support them in every way possible. However, council must also take responsibility. Unfortunately, the actions of a few often reflect the body as a whole. And while many council members I've seen over the years take their role very seriously and have worked tirelessly to support our citizens, our volunteers, and employees, the tolerance of disruptive behavior threatens the progress of our village. Tolerance must be extended to others' work, plans, and efforts. While input is valuable, there comes a time when council decisions must be accepted and respected, especially when made in the service of the greater community. Criticism, when necessary, should always be constructive, factual, and aimed at improvement. Ambition must also guide council members to focus on their own committees and collaborate with the executive branch to improve overall operations. I've always been open to collaboration on administrative policies that enhance efficiency and transparency. I must address a recurring and pressing issue that has been brought up by employees, volunteers, and members of council, the actions of Mr. Marholtz. Time and time again, Mr. Marholtz has bypassed rules, bent them to his will using bully tactics, and has refused to and continues to refuse to collaborate with key personnel, including myself. These actions have caused unnecessary delays and have dissuaded others from contributing to our village. When asked to elaborate or collaborate, Mr. Marholtz has consistently failed to provide actionable input. His conduct has been cited by multiple individuals as a reason for their departure, and it has left our village struggling to retain good people who are willing to work and volunteer their time, passion, and expertise. The behavior is not sustainable, and council must take action to address it. The progress of our village depends on all of us working together with tolerance for differing views and ambition to improve our community. But this only works if everyone is held accountable. The council must function as a unified body that values collaboration and constructive dialogue. I remain committed to doing my part to make this happen. Together, we can create an environment where volunteers feel appreciated, employees feel supported, and council operates with that tolerance and ambition, also cooperation and professionalism. However, the responsibility to address the issues I've outlined today rests squarely on council. And the time to act is now. If we fail to hold disruptive behavior accountable, we jeopardize the process and the progress and the unity of our village. So I urge council to find a solution for the sake of our volunteers, our employees, and the future of the town.
Stephanie, anything for council?
I just have an update on the last council meeting. I believe it is due to an internet issue. The recording for it stopped during the setup process and wasn't discovered until the next day when I went to upload the video, and it didn't exist. So I just wanted to give an update to everybody, why there isn't a video online, so. And then I have a comment about the remaining ARPA money. I don't know what our status is on the sidewalk approaches project, but if we, with us having to, assign that money by the end of the month, the rest of it, or not the end of the month, the end of December, I was gonna suggest, putting it towards the Lucas device that'll be brought through in the safety report. So there's about $925 left. I just, with that one, I just don't know how fast that, if it's approved, how fast that will move forward to stop that interest from building so we can get it, that fund, closed out. So,
I was under the impression that one was gonna go to the sidewalk
yep.
budget, and we didn't have to spend it right away because it was going for the project.
Yeah, but I don't want it to roll over into next year because then we have to do a bunch of different amendments and all that and estimate the interest and all that. It gets to be a pain in the butt sometimes. I mean, we can do it. It's just,
Is there the possibility of seeing that project through this year?
We could probably get it done before the end of the year, because they're still pouring concrete, so it's still warm enough out to do that, so.
Yeah,
But yeah, I mean,
but we can actually just roll that into your discussion.
we were waiting for other estimates
Yeah,
for the approaches, which the last meeting was, needed clarification on the exact, which we worked out the exact locations of what we wanted to do. It was, can they do it? Is the price going to be, there was more dialogue that needed to happen.
well, Harold has reached out to other companies and there's no bites. So it's not a project that requires multiple estimates. I applaud him for trying. So we do have an estimate on the table, just to be clear, right?
Yeah. Okay, the one that they gave us.
Did you have anything else?
no, I just
Okay.
those two.
Okay, well, we can consider ourselves in the administrator section then. Anything? Any other questions about that, Rick, or?
Nope.
Do you have, concerns about the estimate that we do have?
Nope. We wanted a couple estimates to make sure what we were getting was correct.
Right. And
That's
I'll let you speak to that.
fiscal way of doing things, make sure we don't have just one estimate. If nobody wants to bite, then that's what we got. But that has not been discussed, so I'm not speaking. I mean, this is my opinion, so.
Okay, well, I have reached out to two other companies that was recommended by, JPX, and I have not received a phone call back from either one of those companies. I left a message, nobody will answer that. So, I mean, I still got a few days. I can try and get another estimate before the next public works meeting.
Which is Tuesday, next week, I think.
I can see if I can.
It's actually,
20,
it's next week.
yeah, it is, yeah, next week's,
So
last week of, day before no,
I would
2
like
days
to,
before Thanksgiving.
I would like to see us get a packet together with all the information, where we do prove it, but our policies don't require multiple bids for project of that size. I mean, I just want to emphasize that. And so I'm not disagreeing that there's not value in that. But if that's the holdup, then we need to work on the policy. I respect, Rick, that seems to be an issue for you.
it's not an issue for me. It was brought up to the three of us that we were gonna get three,
Right. Well, and
couple bids. It wasn't just me, so don't point it out on me.
well, no,
It seems to me to be a public works issue and not a Rick issue.
Yeah, I mean,
not a what?
Not a Rick issue, but more of a public works committee.
The discussion in the committee was that all the sidewalk approaches are a little bit different in general, and we were given a summary of one job and it was described as a sidewalk approach that might not apply to all the approaches.
Mhm.
So there was question on whether or not all the approaches would cost the same amount, like K and K was saying.
And whether they were gonna pin it, what they were, I mean, there was no description of what they were going to do, say ADA sidewalk approach, not, I can't remember, $1,300 or whatever it was. It was like, there was no defined thing.
And
That's
there was
all
no
we're asking.
description on the, I think it was.
I can't, this is
Put it
just
somewhere.
me, because it's already been called out. I can't approve something that's broad. And then when it comes down to it, oh, it was this and this. There was no description. It was,
I did say that I think we should have more information on the table before we approve it.
that's what we were trying to do with the three, maybe another party estimate. It wasn't
I'm
me.
just saying, you know, if it's not able to be done, then I don't think that's a reason to hold up the project just because multiple people won't bid on it.
There was nothing to be hold up on. It was, we don't have the right, I think that's what you're getting hung up on. We didn't have the proper facts to make an informed decision.
Right.
That's what it was. And we were asking if we have a meeting, because the one meeting he wasn't here, sick or something, cool. And then last meeting, we kind of talked about it and you're right, we need to better the scope of the size and,
Mhm.
you know, and all this stuff before we can actually make an actual item. And
Okay.
I'm worried about the 925 that's going through. If it needs to move over to EMS, which I have no problem with, I don't.
Right.
But that's just $925 we take away from that fund that we already approved about. That was my question. That was my concern.
Yeah, that's what I thought we were talking about. I thought we were talking ARPA funds.
Yeah, well, I mean, we're in the administrator, section. And so I guess we were just talking about the sidewalks in general. And, you know, that's a project that we appropriated for this year. And so I was asking if it's still possible to see that project get done this year. You know, that's something that, you know, we had planned and, you know,
I mean, you can add calcium to everything and make it slow it down and still pour it in January. It's just, now you're just paying more for concrete. Is it still feasible? I don't know. I mean, that's why they don't pave roads in February. I mean, it's just, it can be done. You want to pay the difference. That's all. To try and get a little more better understanding. Well, continue on.
Harold, can you ask K and K to better describe their quote for us?
Yeah.
Have that available by the next Public Works meeting? Thank you.
And then obviously everybody knows about the roof bag. We were down on Avon Lane and we were doing a big pile of leaves. Gases on this pile and we were into the third and final pass. And when we were sucking stuff up, there was something that was banging around in the drum. And just, I don't know exactly what it was because it wasn't in there when we got back to the shop. But I could hear something beating around in there. The next thing I know, the clutch starts smoking. And the engine starts making all kinds of noise. And I shut it off as fast as I could. And then we brought it down to the shop. And we tried firing it back up to see if there was any, after we tore everything apart, tore the cover off to make sure that there was nothing in there holding up the wheel. There was nothing in there at that time. And so we did that. So we tried starting the engine up again and it just started making all kinds of noise and I shut it off because I didn't want to take any chances of doing anything else to it. And then we waited till the next day. We tried it again. It fired up and it started to smooth out, but there's a knock in the engine. So whatever happened with it from that debris that got sucked up in there caused something to happen into the engine. We took it over to
John Deere.
John Deere dealer. They ripped the head out or they took the valve cover off and they looked at everything on the top and they said everything on the top is fine. It sounds like it's something that's down in the crank, maybe in the crankshaft. So if it's the crankshaft that's bad and possibly the clutch, if the crankshaft is bad, then the engine's probably shot. And if we can get another engine to put in it or find another engine somewhere, that's it. So that's where we're standing at the moment with that. They gave me an estimate. This is an overinflated estimate on how much it was gonna cost to replace the parts and labor to replace the clutch in it. So now it's like $1,700 to do that job, but that was like $700 for parts, which they were saying that wasn't even, it wouldn't even be close to that. I told him I said I needed it higher than what it's actually gonna cost, so that way if it does cost a little more than, you know, what they thought it was going to begin with, then we've got enough to cover it. So that's what this quote is for. And
What you're saying, basically, if what I come up with, they have to fix something before they can diagnose the other thing to verify the one's not the cause of the other one.
right, so you know, replace the clutch and make sure that that is all, you know, make sure, because I don't know if what he was saying about the clutch, but it sounds like the clutch might be shot on it, so the way he was talking about it, so if we get the clutch replaced, and then he said just baby it until the engine goes, and then when the engine goes, then we replace the engine. So, I mean, I don't know if we want to rent something and then get this one fixed, or if we want to buy a new one. Since that way, since we have that, the deductible or the, how much it's worth on there. So, I mean, I'll get an estimate for it from them for replacing the motor on it and see what that costs. So, because I think we kind of talked about it a little bit. I think, yeah, we're talking maybe, I want to say 7 to 8 for possibly a new engine for that thing.
7 to 8.
1,000, yeah. That's what, you know, the engine and taking it out and putting a new one in and all that stuff. So, I mean, I can get a hold of the manufacturer, find out if they still sell them or if we can get an engine from them for it.
Did you say it was their suggestion to fix the clutch and maybe like baby it through the season until you can get
Try and get it through this year and then possibly fix it, you know, or obviously fix it after we're done. So,
and it sounds like those fixes might be able to be claimed to insurance.
yeah. Cause I'll just give them the day and where it happened at.
We've reached out to some of our Otsego communities to see if we could maybe borrow one of theirs. And we got a bite from Haskins and Tontogany.
So if something does happen to it and it does die, then a possible use of somebody else's equipment. On that, and then I got an email from, I think I sent it to Stephanie from Warbox stating that the engineer never got a hold of them about doing a taxiing on the road, and they sent me the bill for the road, so that's attached to it, how much it costs for everything for the road. I got that, I just sent that over to her. I'm gonna reach out, and I'm gonna reach out, back out to them. And try and get a quote or see if they can give us a estimate on how much it would cost to do the tracks or the tracks and asphalt, because I think that would be probably the best way to do that over here to attach for the CSX grant. So I think that would be probably the best thing to do, is to go asphalt over the track.
Yeah, that's how the other one is.
So, and then, I'm waiting to hear back for the final price on the lights for over in Sycamore and for over off of Taylor Street or Sanders Road. So I'm waiting on the email back from that guy for the lights. I think that was about it. And the guy coming for on the 20th, they would give us get an estimate for the roof on the building.
All right, yeah, so I mean, we're, almost through the time period, that we had, scheduled for leaf pickup. I guess one of the ways forward is, to get the clutch fixed, right?
Yeah.
And cross our fingers, that we can finish our collection and then, address it wholer.
You said the clutch was 1,700, or was that everything?
12 to 17, right? It's-
Between 12 and 1,700 for the clutch to replace the clutch on it.
Would that be, would fix that, but then, it's still a piece of junk after we're done. How does that figure? I mean, if we get the initial pay, paid for by insurance, but does that go away if we use it and then we still determine, well, the engine's
Well, I
blowing
think
out?
it's
That's what I
still
was
part of the
thinking.
same plane because the fact that, it all happened at the same time.
I see what you're saying, Dean. I think he's saying if we fix it and then they do end up totaling it out and replacing it, are they gonna give us replacement value plus the 1,700 that we put into it? No,
I can't comment, sorry. I'm just thinking.
I saw it.
Yeah, I'll call that guy tomorrow and find out. Before we have, so.
I guess to me, the question would be, is the machine itself worth putting a new clutch and a new motor in, right? I mean,
And outdated, and from some of the other ones that I have seen, they only have they have just like a Kohler motor, on a platform that it's pulled around, and it's got a chute that goes in the truck, and then it's got a tube that comes off of it, and it's a quarter the size of that. Probably nowhere near the same amount of money as what it would cost to replace that one. So, I mean, if we can find a different style, or they possibly if I can go look at the ones in Pogany and the one in Haskins and see what kind they have and figure out what they've got. If we can go that route, if this one, once this one does go out on it, then we can possibly replace it with something on that order. Something that's different, that is easier to use and not as big. So,
I think if you decide to fix it and then replace it later, though, that kind of takes the insurance
Yeah,
portion out of it.
I was looking at the pup leaf vac thing. Our coverage limit is 16,500, and we only have a $500 deductible on it. And the clutch itself was more than double what the deductible is. So, I don't know. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm under the impression that we should probably look at submitting a claim to PEP for it.
And they'll determine what they will pay and what needs done.
Whether or not it's worth it to fix it, or if it's worth it to total it, just like with the bus garage.
Mhm.
okay.
And in the meantime, you can
Borrow.
Possibly.
and they might have a rental.
Yeah. Do we need a motion to submit to PEP?
Should just be.
No, I think what we're looking for, I mean, if council's not willing to appropriate anything towards repair, then I guess our only options are to borrow or rent. And so, I mean, the reason it's on the table is because there is not enough left in the repairs appropriation to repair it.
I'd like to motion to submit a claim to that.
Okay,
I'll second it.
all in favor?
I,
Any opposed?
I'll send this over. to
Okay.
you.
I don't want to do the ordinance if we don't know how much we're appropriating anyway, like, I'd rather,
Do we have money to rent? Do we have a line item to rent from? That's what I'm saying.
Probably be contractual services and probably not. that one's-
That's why it's on the table, because we don't have anything to play with.
I just thought he made it sound like he could work with us within a day or two to find out whether we have rental through the insurance.
yeah.
If we don't, at that
We'd
point,
Still have to
something
reappropriate.
appropriated.
We'd have to take that money in and reappropriate to use that money. Because none of those line items have enough in it to rent, borrow, whatever.
At the end of the day, all you're asking is take more money out of the general fund, put it in the line item for, so we can use it. And it's just basically making one hand off one hand to the other one. But the problem I don't want to do is appropriate the money
Well, if
and
you,
then the decision be made to fix it when it wasn't really an informed decision.
well, so,
Fix it just like we did the lawnmower deck. That's my
yeah, the
opinion.
way I have that ordinance set up is specific for the leaf vac. So if no fix happens for it, that money that you put to reappropriate won't be used. It can't be used. It was specifically put there for
Well,
repairs and maintenance of the leaf vac.
it sounds like fixing it is not on the table right now, right? I mean, you guys don't want to see it.
It's not that, in my opinion, not fixing, it's not on the table. We don't know what A or B. I mean, my
What-
suggestion is
what we're trying to deal with
disconnect
now
the,
is-
disconnect the motor from the clutch, see if the motor's got a knock. If the motor's got a knock, then now we know what we need to do. If the motor doesn't have a knock, then we fix the clutch and it should be done, but we can't.
The motor has a knock.
That's what,
That's still connected to the clutch. How do you know?
I'll have them,
I mean, that's what Harold said, that they also diagnosed the engine and it does have an unknown knock. And it might be okay for a while, right?
did I understand inappropriately? Do we have a bite on a borrow?
Mhm.
What I heard.
Yes, but I mean, that's not a for sure thing. It's something we've reached out to and we've had two entities offer to look into allowing us to do that. What we're dealing with right now is just that everyone has their leaves
Mhm.
out. We're starting to get complaints
Right.
about killing people's grass and just,
I understand that
Yep.
people get upset. And if I may, we have for about 12 months now been dealing with people getting very upset about a lot of different things. And it's really stressful, and that's okay. But allowing their upset to guide our decisions into an area that we would otherwise not make that decision, it may be ill-advised. I'm gonna say no. I understand they're upset, but they're leaves. They're leaves.
okay, so at the end of the day, you're not open to renting a piece of machinery either.
If we have 2 bites on box, we have an insurance claim adjuster that's willing to get back to us within 1 to 2 days.
But we would, I think what I'm saying though is we would still, like, even if the insurance adjuster got back to us and said, hey, we can cover your rental, we still have to have money appropriated to spend on that. And so by not amending appropriations, you're tying our hands because we don't have the money in that line item, even if it were, backed up by the revenue.
How
fund.
much would you like to reappropriate from the general fund?
And it would depend on if you're doing the repair.
Well,
I think, so here's
I
the
think what
thing
I'm
that,
understanding is they don't want to do a repair and we need to.
so we
look
need
more
a
into
different
that.
line item then. I would put it in just contractual services then. That way it keeps it broad. If you have to rent, you can rent from there.
Now, is it,
And then you can just put a number on it and it's specific for the leaf vac. If we don't do anything with it, let's say you put 5,000 towards it and nothing goes forward, then you don't have to, it's just there, but for the leaf vac, like I make a note that it's just for that. And if it's not touched, it's not.
I think what I'm getting is you guys want more detail on fixing it versus replacement. That's fine. And so that was like the original ask to reappropriate so that we could repair it, right? But now we're just talking about like possibly a rental if we need, right? And hopefully, I mean, you can put that stipulation on it, I think, if it turns out it's not covered by insurance, then we don't move forward with that option either. We just have to like come back to the table.
I think personally, I'm okay with reappropriating for a rental.
Okay.
So that you can get the leaves done. As far as repair, we should have something back. He said within a week, as to whether they are going to approve or disapprove coverage. So maybe discuss it at our next council meeting and we'll
Okay.
decide repair, replace them.
So,
You guys have Public Works on Tuesday, so you might have information and discuss it more at that point anyway.
If we get the information. Right now, it's just gonna be just exactly what we talked about. If we don't hit no more than what he just gave us.
I mean, he does have an estimate from John Deere. I guess he's just gonna have to,
I'll call the manufacturer and find out if they if we're able to get a motor for that specific one and how much it's gonna cost for a motor, and then find out how much John Deere would charge us to replace that motor.
And PEP and what they'll cover
And
or whether they'll just go replace.
What size motor is in that?
it's a 4-cylinder. So a 4-cylinder gas motor.
I would speculate that a rental should not cost more than $1,000. 1,500. What do you think?
I don't know what to think at this point after your comments.
Let's see what Google said. Just Google it.
I know how much a new one will cost. Anywhere between 8,000 and 49,000, just depends on what it is you want. The type that we have right now, you could probably do for about $9,000. I don't think you'll find it on Google as far as a rate on leaf vacuum.
United Rental or Sunbelt doesn't offer them. Neither does Cat. I looked while we were here.
But it has to come from a specific dealer that handles.
You can rent pull behinds, behind your lawnmower, which nothing that we have of that, or a suck vac that just pushes like a greater push mower. That's the only thing they offer. I just want to make it perfectly clear. We're trying to make an informed decision with very little information. And that is what I have an issue with, especially when it could be this, could be that. If you just need more line item to cover a rental I have no problem with that. But my problem is I don't want to replace something that's not worth replacing or fix something that's not worth fixing. If you want money for a motion for a rental and or to cover the cost of the estimate to John Deere, I will make that motion. We still don't have cost.
We purchased the current unit back in 1999 and it was used then.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the insurance company should, if they decide to replace, they'll cut a check for estimate replacement. I motion to reappropriate for a rental. I'm not seeing anything price wise though.
Not gonna find it.
Yeah, I don't see anything.
That's called a specialty item in the rental business for some reason.
Just like Bowling Green, just break them out in the road, scoop them in the backhoe, put them in the back of the dump truck. That's what they do in Bowling Green.
What my first thought was, is we can do it by
Right.
hand if we need to, but it's gonna suck.
No, it doesn't suck. It's manual labor. Suck it broke.
Jeff, now. I was gonna say Bowling Green has like 30 people on their every 1
Yeah,
hour,
they
so we have two.
Quite the.
All right, we're gonna move forward then. We'll regroup on that.
We're not gonna reappropriate for rental.
Yeah, we should do that. I'm sorry.
Okay,
Just in case we can find something or
we just,
Village of
wanna-
Haskins needs $500 to
yeah.
offset it or something.
We just wanna throw like 2,000 on. Or do we wanna go over that? Like, obviously,
I mean, I got the ordinance up to provide for the rental of a leaf vac.
You know, when
Complete leaf pickup.
From them.
As soon as they're done doing their constituents, probably.
talking
Well,
about.
we think Contagony is already done with theirs, so.
I went through there the other day and it looked like they already had everything. So all I do is find out.
And hopefully you don't suck something up into theirs.
Oh, Lord.
Do you think you pulled up something, or, I mean, something inside came loose, or?
No, because nothing was there. The only thing that's in there is a flywheel and that was solid. There was nothing bad, but something got in there and it
Just passed through then, apparently, yeah, okay.
Okay. Do we have a motion to approve ordinance?
We need an amount.
That's what I was saying, like, are we just gonna throw 2,000 in? Like, I don't know the price, guys.
I'd have a hard time thinking it'd be more than that. 2,000?
Sure. I shot high. Nobody's correcting. Whatever.
2,000.
Okay. So it'll show 7,000 on there, which is increasing the original 5,000 appropriation up 2,000. So the amended is 7,000.
All right, and this will be,
Ordinance 2024-21.
all right. Do we have a motion to suspend the rules?
I need that back so I can write it down.
So moved.
Second,
Second.
roll call, Ms. Klukowski,
Yes.
Mr. Easterwood,
Yes.
Ms. Susser,
Yes.
Mr. Meyerholtz,
Yes.
Mr. Babcock. We have a motion to approve ordinance 2024-21, ordinance making supplemental appropriations for the fiscal year ending December 31st, 2024, declaring an emergency.
That's wrong down here.
Oh, okay. Changing,
This, I have it written in the one here,
right.
changing, fund account number, 1,733.99, for other contractual services in the general fund to provide for rental leaf vac to complete leaf pickup.
Do you have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Does anyone have anything to bring to Ken? Okay, we have a couple of committee reports, safety from the 6th.
We have 304 runs year to date. We approved the meeting minutes from the previous meeting. There was a request for approval for Captain Jamie Schroeder to his pay to be increased to $1,800 a year, beginning January 1. They also approved submitting the firehouse sub-grant request. I shouldn't say approved, they discussed for approval. For one life pack through the firehouse sub-grant and also the state farm grant for speed radar signs with solar capability. Committee is making a request to purchase a refurbished Lucas at a price of $8,900 with current grant monies that is required to be spent by December 31st, which would mean a net amount of roughly $3,300 by the time they add the tax to the $8,900 of the Lucas. Now, why?
They won't pay tax.
I was going to say they're not going to pay tax. And
No, I think the
I was just gonna
quote
ask
that
that question.
the quote that they have, they didn't have, because we're not set up with that company, so they didn't have ours. They should have it now. When I make because they'll submit the purchase order to the company and they'll see that the tax isn't on there and make sure that it's fixed on their end as well.
So the 8,900 is correct from that aspect. Discuss the new pay schedule for EMTs. No questions concerning the EMS. EMS is going to finish that draft. They just a few points that Jamie wanted to get put in and Kathy. I attended Custer and Milton Center council meetings last week. Discuss the EMS contracts, let them know what we were doing. They were happy with everything that's being done. They certainly liked the idea of the new program to hopefully keep us out of a district situation. I will try and get to the Liberty Township meeting. If I can't physically make it, I'm going to contact one of the trustees and just find out if we can have like a conference call or whatever. I'm sure they're not set up for Zoom. So the actionable items were approval of Jamie Schroeder's raise and purchase of the refurbished Lucas equipment.
I guess the other actual item is to make sure we apply the state farm grant and everything else via the,
Yeah, it's brought up.
well, yeah, but we have to make a motion because that's what we just talked about for 20 minutes, trying to figure out. It was not brought up, so let's make the motion to go for the state farm grant for that, and then the
Well,
other.
I didn't know whether that was going through priority status claim or whatever.
We can do our part.
That's fine.
So you have, two grants to put on the table.
Yeah. That's
So-
dated
So,
firehouse.
so State Farm Grant and Firehouse. And I think what we just discussed is we were gonna put those on the table. So now safety has their ideas on the table, right? And we will get the other two committees to put their ideas on the table ASAP. And council as a whole can,
Public Works has already commented for the State Farm grant in a report that they wanted the safety committee to go for the speed radar. It was already in a report.
So-
It's the only other committee that shared that grant.
okay. I think to Jessica's point, though, there's a limited amount of grants that we can submit. And more, more grants to consider, even if there is like, consensus from the two committees to.
It just doesn't have to go back to that committee.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. So these are now on the table. Is everyone satisfied with that?
So State Farm is for radar, the firehouse is for the Lucas.
The firehouse is for the life pack.
Like that.
Like back, I'm sorry. Lucas is
This is gonna be
Yeah.
brought out right, which that's.
bought outright.
Okay. And then you said, Jamie's raise.
Mhm.
Do we have a document for that or?
It's included in a draft of their, their policy for the pay. It's in that. Because it technically
We have time.
updating the pay
We
ordinance.
have time, so I mean, just
Okay. Because I think,
call up something, make sure it's official, then we'll approve it the next meeting. We don't have to, I mean,
okay, so the actual item is to reflect Jamie's rate.
even if we don't get it 3 readings, we can prorate it, so it's not gonna be a big deal.
Is your suggestion to prorate it from
January,
certain January 1? Okay.
we have time. If it takes February to do it, we'll prorate it and
Okay, not a problem. What was the fourth thing that you had an actionable item for?
Lucas,
The purchase of the refurbished Lucas equipment
And that was just with like funds from the,
from the grant that they have received that we have to spend by December 31.
and then we also have to pay outright.
Yes,
So,
balance of,
is there any
And
required
that's for
document for that?
ARPA funds for.
well, that's what she was,
So it's already appropriated.
Yeah,
Okay.
they got, I'm pretty sure a pretty.
I was gonna get it. Just calm down. It's
$6,600.
They have in machinery, equipment and furniture, they have $19,000.
Okay.
Available, so they got plenty to cover it.
Did the grant go into that $19,000 amount? Because you didn't know where it was gonna go, right?
Yeah, it just goes into their revenue.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do usually estimate about that amount in grant revenue for EMS, so it's accounted in some sort of way when they go to spend that at the end of the year.
Okay, so a motion to approve purchase of the Lucas from machinery, equipment and furniture.
so moved. Don't click that thing. It ain't done yet.
Second,
For the amount of, sorry, 6,000.
no, 8,900.
No, it's around 8,900.
$8,900.
There's a quote, but yeah.
That's the final quote.
Okay, so we have a first and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Administrative process met on the 11th.
That will be correct. You want cemetery?
Yeah, cemetery, sorry.
Okay, cemetery, we met on the 7th at 6. Diane Hilliard, Robin Kaiser, Don Blandy, Harold Boggs, Brittany Klikowski, and Jessica Sousa were in attendance. The administrator reported 2 burials, winterizing the porta pot, mowing and mulching for the winter, recommended taking down a dead pine tree by the cemetery maintenance building. The trees that were cited by risk management have trimmed and fixed. And Harold will call Jody to touch base about a foundation that needs attention. Inform the board that the Grand Rapids Legion will be attending the community development meeting on November 19th to discuss the potential of a Memorial Day event. We discussed the successes from this year's cemetery tour, as well as goals and potential collaborations for the future of the event. The wreaths across America are currently available to be ordered online for Weston Cemetery, with a deadline for orders to be placed on December 3rd. The actual placement ceremony will be held on December 14th in collaboration with Sunlight Church. The board would like to request adding a link for the wreaths across America sign up or purchase to the village website and Facebook page indefinitely, maybe next to our banner.
I put a direct link to that website under the cemetery drop down.
Perfect. As well as potentially hanging flyers to get the word out and just support that project. Jody is working with Tontogany Legion to update our veterans database, and their next meeting is December 5th at 6 o'clock.
All right. Administrative process met on the 11th, in attendance, Jeremy Schroeder, Stephanie Montz, Craig Warner, Brittany Klikowski, Howard Lashway, Rob Meyerholtz. Mayor presented the updated quote from JPX for the Sycamore Storm Sewer Project. JPX 2,800, 265. plus material to be purchased by the village in the amount of $4,760.95, plus $160.06. I'd like to see if there's grant funding for this project, even with a match. Stephanie pointed out no matter what appropriations will need to be amended for this project, it could be done once the year-end balance is certified. So the expectation is that there wouldn't be anything budgeted for that until next year. We also pointed out that one of the grants that we may be able to fetch was through that like GL cap project. Suburban Natural Gas Grant, Stephanie explained how it's entered into revenue and past uses. Will recommend the broad proposal of downtown beautification. We've done that. Talked about work order software. Stephanie's been looking into some options, including a quote from iWork. Bond coverage versus PEP Faithful performance. So we discussed the differences between the two types of coverage. The application for the PEP Faithful performance requires amounts responsible for causing Stephanie to question if the coverage amounts are too low. Stephanie will continue to research this, and administrative process will keep it on the agenda to discuss what should be covered in comparison with, say, the credit card policy. Current position's bond is due in December and already approved, but not yet paid. So Stephanie will also be working on getting this updated with new quotes to compare. And then Christy needs estimates for the USDA search grants. Stephanie has gotten a list of consultants from Temacog. So it was suggested that Stephanie could call these consultants and have them submit estimates. So we're moving forward with that. And then we explored additional grant possibilities regarding lifts and equipment training and owning versus renting lifts. And so the actual items, the beautification grant for Suburban Natural, which we've done, and then getting the quotes for the stormwater analysis. And I think that's being taken care of through the executive channel. Upcoming meetings, community development and public affairs on the 19th at 6. The Sports Initiative Board's meeting. You good? Oh, I thought I heard someone say something. The 20th at 5:30. Safety's meeting the 25th at 6. Public Works also meeting the 26th at 6. And the Planning Commission variance hearing is on December 4th at 6. Cemetery meeting on the 5th at 6. We currently have no new business on the table. Do we have a motion to approve the bills?
So
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Talked about the chipper. I'd like to just, with Parks and Rec, not having enough members right now, I'd just like to get the permission from council to have the mayor's office put together a tree lighting, reach out to the churches to kind of collaborate, and maybe be like some Christmas carol singing plus the lighting of the tree. Half hour to an hour event. Would be looking to possibly collaborate with the other two Parks and Recs members, but I'd be looking for maybe the ability to spend like $100, like from the Parks and Rec line item to get refreshments. A motion for that.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So $100. That would work. And then we had a motion to go into executive session
I was gonna say with that,
You have people.
you want to, oh yeah, do your visitors, but with that executive session with our time getting too close to 8, I remember Paul saying last time that you would have to exit executive session, suspend the rules. So do you want to do that before you go into executive session to extend the time past 8?
Okay, so maybe a motion to suspend the rules.
Do your visitors first, though.
Yeah.
Okay. You're in the back? What's your name?
Keegan.
Keegan? Okay. From Weston, I'm assuming?
Yeah.
Government class? Okay. No questions? Like, yeah, everyone. All right, thanks for being with us. Mr. Dallas.
I think we're good here. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Before we go into the executive session, the upcoming meetings for Public Works and Safety.
Yep.
If we're gonna continue anything with safety, we're gonna do it at the beginning of the month in December. Same with Public Works. I don't want to have a meeting during the Christmas holiday.
I was gonna say, I know the Public Works one is on Christmas Eve or something anyway,
And
so.
we're not, I mean, just so we have a various meeting on the 4th.
Well, that's in December
I
though.
understand that. We need,
We'll take care of it.
we're saying just we can make sure she can find appropriate dates to put them on the beginning of the month of December, because
We may not have any
we
business.
typically don't have safety, but we're working on something through the thing, so we might have.
I can send out an email to both of you for your committees with available dates as of. That way, at your next meetings, you can pick your new date.
That's all I was trying to get.
All right. Do we have a motion to add half an hour to our time limit? So until 8:30.
Motion to add. 8:30.
Okay, so I think we need to suspend the rules first. So do we have a motion to suspend the rules?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, Mr. Babcock.
Yeah.
Mr. Meyerholz.
Yes.
Ms. Suser. Mr. Easterwood.
Yes.
Ms. Klukowski.
Yes.
Now motion to extend by half an hour.
So moved.
Second.
Second, all in favor?
Okay.
Any opposed? All right, well, with that, we will move into executive session to discuss council/personnel. And so, just so you know, we are required to kind of report on if we need to take any action after executive session, but you're certainly, I mean, I don't know what Ms. Danko would say, but there's no expectation to stay behind if, yeah.
I was gonna say, mistake would make him stay.
Because executive session means that you have to go out of the room and we're discussing in private here. So, but we will peek out and see if you're still there and invite you back in once that's completed.
I'm not saying I wouldn't recommend it.
You need a signature at all on anything?
Yeah.
You,
We'll sign it.
I would say.
I got it.
everyone. Just in case.
Thank you.
Yep, you're welcome. Okay, well, with that, we'll move into executive session. Is there,
I think everybody in this room right here can stay.
that's your suggestion?
My suggestion.
Except for Ron.
Yeah.
He's technically still in the room.
You'll have my.
Yep.
Mm,
Motion to enter, and then I can mute it.
Okay.
And close the camera off.
I would recommend excluding our employees.
I would recommend not, because you
saying-
just included all of us in your declaration that I still have issues with.
And Harold and Stephanie have experience with people we'll be discussing, so I.
Okay. All right, so we have not motioned to move into executive session. Better thing.
We have
We
motion
did.
We need a motion to go into executive session with the current
people.
that's sitting in this room.
Okay, so motion,
So
move into executive session. Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Hold on, I
Any
wrote that
opposed?
down. Mic is on, but the camera.
For purposes of ending this meeting, I would like to enact part of Rule 3 and call on Jessica to act as the chair.
An executive session, we as a council have decided to postpone definitely this executive session to a certain time or day, which will be our next council meeting. The end of our next council meeting, on the basis that we would like to wait for our absent council member, Craig Warner, to be in attendance. And then we also would like to address an issue if somebody would like to make a motion regarding the Weston Parks and Rec page.
I would move that the Weston Parks and Rec page be turned over and or administrated with a name change or by the Village of Weston. Proper.
Second.
All in favor?
Abstain.
Aye.
Any opposed? Brittany will reach out to the Parks and Rec board to have the name changed or change administration. With that being said, there's no other business. This meeting is adjourned.
The breaks.
So how does your letter work?
I just resigned as of today, so. Said how much I enjoyed the experience. Which is, this just happened 3 or 4 weeks earlier than what would happen now. So. I don't like beating my head against walls, you know, I've had to do that enough. And, you know, just hearing somebody disagree with it again about, you know, gosh, it just reminds me of television. Oh, I didn't say that. No, I said that. No, it's on tape. It's like, no, I didn't. You know, it's like, I'm not even gonna, you deal with that enough. You do. So, yeah, we didn't really envision it ending this way, but yeah, like I said.
No.